So in this video, we're going to look at how to build the perfect Amazon product listing that converts like crazy. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So as always, if you know who I am, then welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, my name's Luca. And on this channel, I talk about how to launch and scale a successful Amazon FBA business. So if that is your thing, then hit that subscribe button and make sure you've got your notification bells turned on because I've got a ton of really cool content planned over the coming weeks. Also, if you're enjoying the video, give it a like. It helps give the video a little boost and get it out there to more people and also supports the channel. So much appreciated. So I've put together some slides. So why don't we jump into the computer and get straight into it. Okay, so what am I actually going to be covering in this video? Well, I want to start things off by just talking about what the key elements are to building the perfect listing. Then I want to go through each of those elements one by one and talk about how you can master them, how you can do them perfectly to create that perfect listing. And then finally, if you stick around to the end of the video, we're going to go into Seller Central and I'm going to show you actually how you can build your product listing in Seller Central step by step. Okay, so let's look at the key elements that you're going to need to be able to master to build that perfect Amazon product listing. So the first main element, the first key element is the product photos. So if you look at an Amazon product listing, these are over to the left-hand side. I'm not exactly sure why I included this slide because I'm sure all of you who are watching this have definitely seen an Amazon listing. You know where the product photos are, but that is element number one. The second element that you need to master are the keywords that you include in your listing. These are going to contribute to your listing's SEO or search engine optimization. And if we have a look at that shot again, so these are the keywords that best describe our product that we add into our product listing in the title, bullets, and description to improve our SEO so that when a customer searches that keyword, that search term, our product listing shows up. So element number two is understanding what keywords to put in our title, bullets, and description and where to put them. And then element number three is actually how to write your title, bullets, and description. And we call all of this the listing copy. So your title's right at the top of the product listing there. Then you've got your bullet points to the right-hand side of the product image. And then just out of shot, if you scroll down on this product listing, you'll come to the product description. And element number four, the final key element that you need to master to create a perfect Amazon product listing is reviews. Okay, so why are these four key elements so important? And really to understand that, what we need to understand is that Amazon is a search engine and Amazon's main goal is that they want to convert. Right? Amazon want to sell as much product as possible. So to be able to achieve this, what Amazon will do is they want to show customers, number one, products that are most relevant to them, most relevant to their search term, and products that are of the highest quality. The more relevant a product and the higher the quality of the product that Amazon puts in front of a customer, the more likely the customer is to then buy that product or convert, and hence the more money Amazon's going to make because obviously Amazon takes a commission of the sale of every product sold on its platform. So if we want our product to sell like crazy, we want to rank on Amazon. We want Amazon to show our product as high up on the search results as possible. And to be able to do that, we need to show Amazon that number one, our product is relevant, highly relevant to that customer's search term. And number two, that we have a really high quality product. So the way that we can show Amazon that our product is relevant to that customer's search term is by improving our SEO, by including the correct keywords that best describe our product. So that's why keywords are important. Then if we want to show Amazon that our product is of high quality, Amazon determine this by the click-through rate and the conversion rate. So the click-through rate of our product is basically how many people view our product in the search results divided by the number of people that actually click into our product. Okay, so the better your product listing, the higher your click-through rate is going to be. The same with your conversion rate. Your conversion rate is the number of people who click onto your listing divided by the number of people that purchase your product. The better your photos, copies, and reviews are, the higher your click-through rate is, the higher your conversion rate is going to be, and then the higher your ranking is going to be on Amazon. The higher your ranking, the more views you get on your product listing, and the more sales you are going to get. So really, to build a perfect product listing, what we need to do is we need to satisfy two things. The first thing is the kind of computer side. We need to satisfy the Amazon algorithm by including keywords. And then the second side is that we need to satisfy the human side. We need to appeal to people's emotions through great photos, great listing copy, and good reviews so that people actually convert when they get onto our product listing. Okay, so let's go through these elements one by one and talk about exactly how you can master each one of those elements. And let's start off by talking about your product photos or your product images. So great photos sell products. I cannot stress this enough. Having great photos is one of the most important things to having a high click-through rate and a high conversion rate. So normally you're allowed 9 images on your product listing, and the way that it works is that you have 7 visible images and 2 hidden images. So when you're just on the product listing, most customers will only be able to see 7 images, and then when they click to enlarge those images, they'll get to see an extra 2. So if I go onto this listing of a laptop stand, you can see that on the right hand side there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 visible images. However, if you click on one of these images to enlarge it, you can see that actually there's 9 in total. So there's these 2 extra hidden images once you click in to enlarge. Okay, so if you can use 9 images, make sure that you use all of those image spaces. Use all 9, but just bear in mind that only the first 7 are visible, and a lot of customers don't actually click in to enlarge those images. And if a customer is using a mobile, they can't actually see those last 2 hidden images. So if you are going to use 9, make sure that your most important 7 images are the first 7, because those are what customers are going to see the most. Secondly, use high quality professional images, right? You see it so often that people just use crappy images, especially when it comes to lifestyle images, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But when it comes to your product images, your product photography, I would really spend the money on getting really high quality images. Like I said, good product photos sell products. An alternative option is that you can also get 3D renders. A lot of the time 3D renders end up being cheaper and actually look even more professional, but just bear in mind that 3D renders don't always work with all product types. If your product is a material product, so let's say it's made of cotton, maybe it's a clothing material, a 3D render wouldn't work particularly well, but 3D renders work quite well with kind of flat or sheet material. So if your product's made out of plastic or metal, you should look into potentially getting 3D renders done. Number 3, keep it simple. Now, so often I see people overcomplicating their product images with tons of text, tons of different colors, and it's definitely the wrong way to go. You want to keep the product images as simple as possible. Really, when you think about it, product images have 2 purposes. The first purpose is to appeal to people's emotions. You want people to look at that product, get an emotional response and think, oh, I want that product, or I can imagine using that product. And lifestyle images are really good at doing that, and we'll talk about lifestyle images a little bit later on. But the second thing that images do is that they show the product specs. And in a way, this is how Amazon differs from other platforms. On a lot of other platforms, the way that customers use it is that they will look at the product images. The product images are mainly there just to create an emotional response. And then when they want to find out information about the product, they'll read the description, the key highlighted bullet points. If you think about buying something on Currys or PC World, you're always going to read the description. If you're going to buy something on Auto Trader, the images are just there to make you have an emotional response, and then you're going to read through the description to find out more about that product. Amazon is completely different. The way that customers shop on Amazon is that they make the vast majority of the buying decision is made from the product photos. A big portion of customers don't even read the bullet points or description. So it's really important to make sure that you have infographic images, which we'll talk about in a second, and that you keep your images simple because you want to clearly convey the key features of the product. If you make your product images too complicated, customers won't understand what you're saying and it'll put them off buying and your conversion rate will plummet. Number 4, don't repeat yourself. So what I mean by this is don't show the same information in more than one product photo. You've only got 9 product images and you want to be able to convey as much information as possible while keeping it simple to the customer in those 9 images. So if you've got one image that shows the product dimensions, don't have a second image that shows the product dimensions. Keep it simple, don't repeat yourself. And finally, be consistent. So if you're creating your own brand, what you want to create is something called a brand kit. And essentially what a brand kit is what visually defines your brand. So it includes your brand logo, the fonts that you decide to use for your brand, for the headers and subheadings, and also the colors that you use in your brands. And once you decide on that and you create your brand kit, be consistent. Use the same colors, use the same font on your product packaging, on your product images, on your Amazon product listing. So if you decide to use a certain font for the title of one product image, don't use a different font or a different color for the title of another image. You want your brand image and message to be consistent, and the best way to do that is by sticking to the same fonts, the same colors, and the same style through all of your product images. Okay, so there's 3 types of product photo that you want to use on your product listing. The first is just a plain white background image. You want to keep this super clean and simple, and this is going to be your hero image or your main image. Now, this is by far your most important image because when people are scrolling on search results, this is the only image they're going to be able to see. So this is going to have the biggest impact on your click-through rate and also your conversion rate. For this main image, you want to make sure it's got no graphics or no props in it, and it's just a plain white background image. The reason for that is that actually it's against Amazon's terms of service to have any graphics or props in it, and if you do add them, Amazon does have a software which screens these product listings, and they will actually take your image down. So just make sure that it's clean, simple, no graphics, no props. The second type of image that you're going to want to use is infographics. So infographics stands for informational graphic images. You want to make these clear and simple to read, and you want to use minimal text. Like I said, you don't want to overcomplicate this. You want the customer to be able to look at this within a few seconds, understand everything that's said on this image, understand all of the key features about the product without getting confused. And again, make sure you use your brand kit, use your brand fonts when creating these infographics. Okay, so there's 3 types of infographics you should be using. The first are blow-ups. And these are basically used to highlight the key features of the product. So if you look at the image on the right hand side, this is a great example. What you have is a main image of the product surrounded by blow-ups of the key features of the products that are gonna basically provide the key benefits to the customer buying this product. The second type of infographic you want to use is a bold graphic infographic. These are great for highlighting the functionality of the product. And then finally, just simple graphics to show the dimensions. So basically, using these infographics, you want to highlight the key features, the key functionality, and the dimensions of the product. Now, the final type of image that you need to be using to build a perfect Amazon product listing are lifestyle images. So lifestyle images are any image of the product being used or the product in its natural setting. Now, most sellers do use these, but what you see so often is that sellers skimp out on these lifestyle images. They'll often just Photoshop the product into a random setting, but you and I both know that it is so obvious when Photoshop's been used. It looks really cheap, it looks tacky. So to get a competitive advantage on your competitors, I highly recommend investing the money in getting proper lifestyle images taken. Okay, so we talked about the photos to use in your product listing, and now let's talk about keywords, which keywords to use, where to put them, and how they work. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is to do your keyword research. When doing keyword research, essentially what you're doing is you're trying to find the most common search terms that customers are putting into the Amazon search bar when they're looking for your product. Now, there's not enough time to go into step-by-step detail about how to do product research properly in this video, but if you are interested in how to do that, I'll put a link somewhere around the video here and also a link in the description to a video I put out a few months ago about how to do keyword research properly using Helium 10. Now, once you've done your keyword research and you have your list of keywords, what you're going to want to do is then enter those keywords into your title, bullets, and description. So enter them into your listing copy. Once you've entered them into your listing copy, Amazon will then index your product listing for that keyword. Essentially, what indexing means is that Amazon will acknowledge that you've entered those keywords into your listing, associate your listing with those keywords, so that essentially when a customer searches one of those keywords in the Amazon search bar, Amazon links your product listing to that keyword or that search term and displays your product listing to that customer. But just to be clear, indexing is different from ranking. By having the right keywords in our listing, we can index for those keywords, which means we'll show up on the search results if a customer searches that keyword. But if we want to rank high on that search results, we want to have as much visibility as possible, we need to make sure that we have a high conversion rate, and we can do that by having great photos, great copy, and good reviews. Okay, so when you're writing your listing copy, what you essentially want to do is you want to include as many of the keywords that you found when doing your keyword research as possible in your title, bullets, and description while making sure that you don't keyword stuff. So what do I mean by keyword stuffing? Well, when you're writing your copy, you're trying to have a balance between including as many of the most important keywords as possible without making it unreadable. You still want your title, bullets, and description to read really, really well, because remember, your bullets and your description are going to sell your product, so they need to be readable. And don't worry if you can't include all of your keywords in your title, bullets, and description, because any that don't fit in there, you can add to your back-end keywords list. And when we go into Seller Central and I actually talk you through step-by-step how to build the product listing, I'll show you how to add keywords to your back-end list. But essentially what your back-end keyword list is a place for you to enter keywords so that your product listing can index and rank for keywords that aren't actually in your product listing itself, that customers can't see. And when you're deciding what keywords to put where, what you want to do is make sure that your most powerful keywords are in your product title and that your least powerful keywords are in your backend list, and work them down in that order as you can see on the slides. Now, when I talk about most powerful keywords, what I mean by that is that your keywords with the highest relevancy and the highest search volume. Make sure those are in your title. Now, the reason for that is that basically not all things are built equal, and actually your title has a higher weighting in terms of keyword ranking. So you want to make sure that you have your highest relevancy and highest search volume keywords in your title. So a really cool way that you can do this is by using the Helium 10 Scribbles tool. So after you sign in, what you want to do is come to listing optimization and just hit Scribbles. If you guys haven't got a Helium 10 subscription and you're interested in signing up for Helium 10, there are some exclusive discount codes in the description of this video. Go check them out. Now, once you're in Scribbles, what you want to do is just drop down and select the correct marketplace. I'm based in the UK and I'm selling on Amazon.co.uk, so that's what I'll select. And then you just want to paste in the keywords that you found during your keyword research that you want to include in your product listing. So I'll just paste in a list that I found earlier, and then you just want to hit apply. What Scribbles will then do is then color these keywords and key phrases ranging from red to black. Red indicates the keywords that have the highest search volume, hence your most powerful keywords, and red symbolizes the keywords that have the least search volume and hence your least powerful keywords. Then what you can do is you can write out your title and bullet points, and as you do that, Helium 10 Scribble tool will cross off the list of keywords and phrases so that you know that you're using and including all of the main and most powerful keywords and key phrases. So for example, if I write laptop stand, you will see that it crosses laptop stand off. So this is a great way to make sure that you're not missing out any of the most important keywords in writing your listing copy. Okay, so let's actually talk about creating your title. So when you're building your title, you want it to be about 150 characters long. And just bear in mind that only the first 80 characters actually show up on mobile. So when you're writing it, you want to make sure that the most important descriptive words that describe your product are in the first 80 characters so that they're visible both on desktop and on mobile. Again, include as many of your most powerful keywords as possible in your title, make it readable, and do not keyword stuff. Remember, any keywords that you can't fit into your title, you can put into your bullets, you can then put into your description, and then even any that you can't fit in there, they can go into your back-end keyword list. So that's your title done. Let's talk about building your bullet points. As I said, the bullet points are the 5 bullets that you have to the right-hand side of your product image. So when you're building your bullet points, you've got 5 bullet points, so make sure you use all 5, just like using all of your product images. After your product images, bullet points are probably the second biggest converting factor, so make sure that you use them properly. What you want to do over these 5 bullet points is highlight the key features or the key selling points of your product. What differentiates your products from your competitors? What are your customers going to benefit from by having your product? Again, use as much of the remaining keywords as possible that you didn't put into your product title, but do not keyword stuff. Now, a second big do not is do not lead with a product feature. Instead, what you want to lead with is a product benefit. So what do I mean by this? Well, basically, you want to appeal to people's emotions. The buying process is a super emotional process, and if you can show the customer how the product will change their lives by highlighting a benefit that the product's going to bring to them instead of just highlighting a feature which will have less of an emotional response, that customer is more likely to convert. So what you want to do is lead with a benefit first approach when building your bullet points. So let me give you an example of this. Let's say that one of the features of your product is that of your laptop stand is that it's made from an aluminium body. That is what I would call a feature. You don't want to start off the bullet point by saying aluminium body in capitals. What you would want to instead do is, by leading with a benefit first approach, is that the first part of the bullet point in capitals would say lightweight and durable. Straight away, you're drawing the customer's eyes to the benefit that this product is going to bring to them, the benefit that this feature of the product is going to bring to them. So let's look at a couple more examples. So let's say one of the features of your laptop stand was that it had air vents. Instead of leading with air vents, what you want to lead with is prevents overheating. Okay? By leading with prevents overheating, the customer understands much better what benefit the product is going to bring to them. Again, let's say your laptop stand has an adjustable angle. What you'd want to lead with is prevents back pain, because that's the benefit that that feature is going to bring. So let's look at this as some full examples. If you were to lead with a feature first approach, your bullet point would look like this: built-in air vents. That's how you would start off your bullet point. Instead, what I suggest is leading with a benefit first approach, leading with prevents overheating. If you look at those two examples, straight away you can tell that the prevents overheating, the benefit first approach, has a much more of an emotional reaction, and that customer is more likely to convert on your product listing if you lead with a benefit first approach. Okay, so now I've covered how to master the key elements needed to building the perfect Amazon listing. Why don't we jump into Seller Central and I'll show you exactly step by step how to actually build your product listing. So what you're going to want to do is come to add a product, and there's two ways to do this. You can either come over to catalog and hit add a product, or inventory and add a product here. Both of these will take you to this page here. And what you want to do is, if you're creating a new product listing for a product not sold on Amazon, is just hit this button here. I'm adding a product not sold on Amazon. What you're going to want to do is then work your way through Amazon's category taxonomy and pick the category that your product best fits into. If the product category has this little lock sign next to it, what this basically means is that you're not allowed to sell products in this category. That category is gated for you. So if you're trying to sell a product that fits into one of these gated categories, you're going to need to get in contact with Amazon. You're going to need to get ungated in that category before you can list your product listing. An alternative way to find your product category is, if you're not sure exactly what category to list your product in, you can use this new search feature here. So what you can do is just, let's say, write in laptop stand, and then Amazon will give you their suggested categories. And then once you're happy, you can just select category. Okay, so when creating your product listing, the first thing you're going to want to do is hit this advanced view tab. If you see at the moment, there's only 4 tabs here. If you hit the advanced view, you see this opens things up, and there's a lot more features that we can add in to the product listing. So let's just work through these one by one, starting with vital info. The first thing you're going to have to add is the product ID. So what you want to do is select either EAN if you're in the EU, or UPC if you're based in the US, and just enter your product's barcode here. So just for the purposes of this, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you want to add the product title, so you can go over to Scribbles and take the title that you created in Scribbles, including all of your keywords, and just enter that title in. And then you need to add the brand name and manufacturer. So if you are creating a product listing for a private label product, you should put your own brand name in here, and then also the same brand name for the manufacturer. So let's say we're called Tech Lab. You would just put Tech Lab for both the brand name and manufacturer. For the rest of these options, because they're not highlighted in red, they're not critical to creating the product listing, so I would just leave these blank for now. Then you want to come over to offer, skip variations, don't do anything there for now. If you do want to create variation listings, there's not enough time in this video to go over exactly how to create variation listings on Amazon, but what I'll be doing is I'll be putting out a video next week on exactly how to create Amazon product listings with variations. So if you're interested in that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel with your notification bells turned on so you get notified when that video comes out next week. If that video is already out, then I will put a link to that video somewhere around the top of the screen and also a link in the description below. So under offer, what you want to do is select your price for your product. So let's say we decide to sell our product for £25. You'll enter that in here. You'll also need to add in a seller SKU. So this will be a SKU that you have already decided for your product. If you haven't decided on a SKU yet, then you can just make up your own SKU. So let's say we're selling a laptop stand and we decide on laptop stand SKU number 1. Don't worry about your SKU too much. Amazon doesn't really use this. This is just for your own stock keeping purposes, so you can just make that up. Okay, now quantity. If you are creating an FBM product listing and you're going to be fulfilling the orders yourself, not Amazon, then you want to enter the quantity that you have in stock here. If instead you're creating an FBA product listing and Amazon's going to be fulfilling the orders, what you want to do is come down to fulfillment channel and select Amazon will dispatch and provide customer service. Once you select this option, if we scroll back up to the top, you can see the option to add a quantity is actually no longer there. Then what you want to do is select the condition of your product. So just select new if you're selling a new product, leave handling time, leave restock date. The only other thing that I would suggest doing is firstly adding a max order quantity. So put that as 10. The reason why you want to do that is it stops people being able to do the 999 cart tracking tool and keeps your niche less competitive. And then finally, what you want to select is can be gift message and gift wrapped if you're selling your products via FBA. The reason why you want to select these options is it doesn't cost you anything and it adds value to the customer, so why would you not select them? So that's all you need to do for offer. Don't add anything for compliance unless you're selling a product that contains battery or hazmat materials, so just leave that. Then you can come over to product images and add your product images one by one. Annoyingly, when you add these images, you're not allowed to kind of drag and drop them and reorder them. So just make sure that you've decided on the image order that you want and that you add the images one by one in the correct order, because the order that you add them in here is the order that they'll show up on your product listing. And remember what I said, you get 9 images, but only the first 7 are visible on mobile and visible to customers before they enlarge on desktop. Then you want to add the description and bullet points. So let's start off by adding the bullet points. So Amazon calls these the key product features. You can only see 1, but if you click add more, add more, add more, you'll see you'll be able to add 5, and then as there's 5, you use no longer the add more button. So what you can do then is come back over to Scribbles, take the 5 bullet points that you created, just copy them, and then just paste them here one by one. Once you've added your bullet points, you want to add your product description. So again, come over to Scribbles, and you can copy and paste your description that you created in Scribbles. Now here, I've just got a little pro tip for you. If you were simply to copy this and paste it into the product description, there will be no formatting for this description. It will just be a single block of text. So to be able to make your product listing stand out, to be able to make your product listing look better, what you're going to want to do is add some bold text, add some bullet points, and format this product description. And you can do that using HTML code. And there's a cool free tool called the Seller App Amazon Product Description Editor. If you just Google Seller App Amazon Product Description Editor, you'll be able to find this page here. And all you want to do is just come over to here, paste your description, and then you can have a play around with it with a simple editor. So let's say we wanted to make this bold, then separate this text onto a different line, and we could potentially add in a couple of bullet points. And then once you've had a play around with it and you're happy with how the description looks on the left-hand side here, on the right-hand side, you can see the HTML code. What you want to do is just hit copy HTML code, back over to Seller Central, and then paste that into the product description box. You don't need to add anything into the legal disclaimer. So once you've done your bullets and description, you can move on to keywords. So remember I mentioned you want to include as many of your most powerful keywords in your title, bullets, and description, but What you can do is with any of the keywords that you couldn't fit into your title, bullets, and description, what you can do is you can copy and paste them into this search term. This is your back-end keyword list. This allows you to index or rank for keywords that aren't visible on your product listing to customers. Just bear in mind you can only add up to a maximum of 250 characters into this back-end keyword box here. Finally, you want to come over to more details. Here you can add any product spec information that will show up on the spec section on your product listing. But as I scroll through, you can see that none of these boxes are highlighted in red. So you don't necessarily need to add any information here. You could go ahead and save the product listing as it is. But one thing I would definitely add is the product dimensions. So select centimeters or inches, depending whether you're in the US or the UK, add your product dimensions. And then once you're all done, you can hit save and finish. Okay, so we've talked about your product photos, your keywords, and your listing copy, and I've shown you how to create an Amazon product listing step by step in Seller Central. Now, once you have your product listing created, the last key factor that you need to master to be able to have a product listing that sells like crazy is reviews. Now, the reason why you need to have reviews is because reviews have a massive impact on conversion rate, because basically reviews act as social proof. They're endorsements from your previous customers. If you've got no reviews or you've got bad reviews, customers are not going to buy your product because you have no endorsement, you've got no social proof, or the social proof that you've got is saying that your product isn't good. So what you want to make sure is that your product listing has a high number of reviews. You want to have as many reviews as possible. The more reviews, the better. Number two, that you have a high review rating. So ideally 4.5 stars or above. Obviously, ideally 5, but in reality, you're always going to get a few low star reviews. So aim for 4.5 star and above. And finally, have as many reviews with pictures as possible. Text reviews are powerful, but text reviews that also include product images that the customers have posted are even more powerful, because customers know that the product images you add onto your product listing don't necessarily always reflect the product that's actually sent out to a customer. So for a customer to be able to actually see what the product looks like in a customer review is super powerful. Unfortunately, there's not enough time to go into exactly how to get your initial reviews in this video, but if that's something you're interested in, I'm going to be putting out a video next week about how to get your first 10 product reviews on a new product listing on Amazon. So if you're interested in that, make sure you're subscribed with your notification bells turned on to get notified when that video comes out next week. Okay, so that is how to build the perfect Amazon listing that sells like crazy. Hopefully you found that video useful and actionable. If you did, don't forget to give the video a like, help support the channel and get the video out there to more people. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.